This is a combination Fieldcraft and also logistics video. This is to give you some information or some guidelines that you can use for setting up operational caches. Now, an operational cache, at least to me, that is set up for a short period of time, and it is meant to support a particular operation or mission. Example, a group of guerrilla soldiers are moving into an area to conduct operations. They're not going to carry all their supplies with them all the time. They're going to want to set up at least one, hopefully multiple cache locations spread out around their operational area that they can go to, take what they need to it to resupply themselves, and continue mission. Now, in our situation we have here, we have a small rural town. The largest building there has been occupied by a company-sized force, and they've set up a combat outpost. The mission of this company is to secure this MSR here, this military supply route. Off to the west is a forward operating base. That forward operating base has a battalion-sized force there of infantry, armor, engineers, and also one battery of artillery. That battery of artillery gives indirect fire in support of the patrols that come out of this COP. Now, we're going to do two different scenarios on how the resistance in this area can set up their operational caches for a particular purpose. Now, first off, interdiction missions on the roadway, on that MSR. If you're just doing ambushes, for the most part, you can carry what you need with you, but you're going to need the occasional supply cache set up to resupply ammunition. So maybe you'll have a resupply point for ammo a little bit farther away, say within 1 kilometer. And that operational cache, it will be waterproofed, protection against the environment, protection against animals. You're going to have at that point primarily ammunition, anti-tank weapons, some mines, and some explosives, and hand grenades. So when you would go up to do your ambushes on the MSR, stop by there, get what you need, seal it back up, camouflage it, move forward, do your operation. Or you do your operation up here with what you have, and then you stop back here to resupply before you go back to your patrol base. Now, what if you want to interdict this route, though, with mines and IEDs? Those things can be very heavy. So you're not going to want to lug them around very far over long distances. You want to have them as close to the roadway as possible. So what you're going to do then, you're going to have small caches located relatively close to the road. How close? Let's say between 1/4 mile to 1/2 mile from the roadway. And you're going to space them out like every so many miles. But remember, do not set a pattern where it's a set distance every time. Conform it to the terrain. Inside each of those supply caches, we'll have whatever amount of mines and IEDs we think we should have based on that particular stretch of roadway it's anticipated to cover. If that particular stretch of roadway allows for mining, maybe we're going to have more mines in there than IEDs. If that stretch of roadway is more hardball, asphalt, concrete, that we cannot put mines into the roadway, we're going to have more IEDs. And the type and size of the IED is determined by the materials you have available to you. So at each of these supply caches, you'll have everything you need for that particular mission. So each mine will have its fuse. It's going to be located with it inside that cache. They will not be stored together, fused. But you will have the separate container inside that cache that you can grab what you need of each, then move forward and put what you need to on the roadway. For IEDs, typically they're not going to be fused. They're not going to be prepped. You'll have the charge made. You'll have whatever you need on it, you know, whether it's a metal plate for an EFP or shrapnel material is already going to be there, and it's going to be inside that cache with whatever you need to go with it, such as wire, or potentially you'll have some truck batteries there, whatever you need, and you're going to protect it against moisture and the environments. So what you would do, you determine you're going to put in a couple IEDs on the road. You have them at this location, and you're going to put them in this stretch in here. Your team would move forward, draw what you need for that IED, whatever the amount of IEDs you need, and then whatever support equipment for it, wire, batteries, triggers, whatever it is. Grab what you need, inspect it all, make sure it's good to go. You then move forward, put them in place where you want them on the road, and then if you're command detonating them, you'll take up positions, wait for that enemy supply convoy or security patrol to come through close enough to the IED and set it off. If you're putting in mines, typically those are in place at night, in the middle of the night, especially on the really dark nights. So extremely cloudy nights or new moons. You move forward to the cache, inspect what's there, take what you need, make sure you have everything before you set out. Move forward, get closer to the road, fuse your mines, and then move forward quickly, each person with one mine, an entrenching tool, and a sandbag. You go through, dig the holes, put the mine in the hole, fuse it, camouflage it, remove the excess material with you in the sandbag, move out of the area. If you're going to leave an overwatch there, give them the instructions of when they're supposed to leave the area. And then enemy supply convoy comes down, hopefully hits the mines. Now, next mission, combat outpost up here. We don't have enough people in our element to take it out on a raid or cause them more, considerable amount of damage. So what if we hit them with indirect fire, say mortars and rockets? You can use both together at the same time to kind of camouflage where you are. Now, the caches you will set up at this point will be relatively close to your firing points. So let's say we have a forward observer with us, a veteran of field artillery and that stuff. And he's picked out some firing points for us. We go through and figure which ones are we going to use on the next operation. We then move forward with the ordnance that's going to be used for that particular mission. If we're going to fire in rockets, rockets are heavy, even improvised ones. So you're going to move forward and you're going to set up at least 2 caches for the rockets. So let's say we determined that this firing point, we're going to put in our own rockets. Let's say we have our own Ghetto 107 millimeters. Well, at one location within 500 meters of that firing point, we're going to cache the rockets, and we're also going to cache the actual launchers, along with whatever we need to set the launchers off. Let's say we're going to set this up as a timed charge as kind of a cover. So we got our rockets over here. Up here we'll have our improvised launch rails along with wire and the batteries and a timer. So when the actual operation would happen, the team would move forward, get the launcher, bring the launcher into position while a team brings up the rockets, gets the rockets put on the launch rails, and then at the appropriate time attaches on the wire, the timer, and the battery. Make sure that the timer is set to the correct time, that it will open the circuit, sending the power through for launching those rockets into the combat outpost. Now we've also determined we're going to use some 60mm mortars. We're not going to use this position back here just in case we get an overshot. So we'll put a 60mm mortar team here and here. To support those missions, we will put in a cache of mortars. Whatever amount we think we're going to need. Maybe we're going to want to fire in 6, maybe we're going to want to fire in 10. If we're only going to fire in a couple, the team should bring them with. Team gets up there, they get their mortars set up. They send someone back to where the cache is to get the mortars, brings them forward. Now in this particular operation, these guys have been told, wait until you hear the rockets firing. So let's say at 10 p.m., 2200 hours, the rockets start going off. As soon as the rockets go off, that's when the 60mm mortars are going to be fired in. I would do it within, say, 2 minutes of these start going in, depending on how you got the stuff set up. Maybe you can string them out into a slow series on the rockets. What we're trying to do here is that forward operating base that has artillery, their fire direction radar is going to pick up those incoming rounds. When they pick it up, we want them to focus on here so that that artillery, once the guns start moving, they get the coordinates laid in, they're dropping rounds in this area. While these guys here are firing in also. These won't be as accurate. These can be. So these would be targeted generally for the entire space of the combat outpost. Where these guys here, maybe we have this team up here concentrate on trying to hit the ASP, the ammo supply point. These guys over here, we gave them the mission of dropping rounds on where the fuel tanker is that these guys refuel their MRAPs at before they head out. So these rockets are just going in generally. These guys are dropping their rounds in a precise location, trying to hit a particular target. Once they fire off their rounds, they're 3 rounds, 6 rounds, 10 rounds, whatever it is, and it's going to be quick. It's going to be boom, 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 boom. As soon as the one mortar leaves, you're dropping the next one inside. As soon as you are done with your series, or you see that massive explosion telling you that, hey, we hit that ammo supply point, we hit that fueler, that's when you're going to pick up your mortar, pick up any rounds that are still there that haven't been fired, and you're going to get the hell out of the area before that artillery back at the forward operating base gets updated firing instructions to target those mortar positions. Your operational caches is to cut down on how much you have to carry with you into for a particular mission or operation. So what you're going to do, you're going to pick a spot where hopefully is not checked over, traveled through, traveled around, traveled nearby. Something that's well hidden. You could hide it inside, say, a small cave or a dugout in the side of an embankment. Or maybe you're going to dig a hole, put the stuff inside, and you're going to make a cover over it out of whatever's available, wood or logs. Put some type of tarp or plastic over that, camouflage with existing materials in the area. Another option could be, say there's a abandoned vehicle out there. It's been there for years. Got to look at the inside of the trunk or the inside of the vehicle, depending on what it looks like. See if maybe you could hide a few cans or a few boxes inside there, at least until the mission's done. Set up your operational caches, ideally a maximum of 1 week out from the particular operation. If it's there too long, the chances of it being found by a security patrol from that combat outpost goes up dramatically. So you want to get that stuff put in as close to the mission as possible. So when your people go up there for the mission, they're nice and rested. You know, they're going to be a little tired because of humping the weapon in or whatever they're going to do, but they're going to be a lot less tired than if they had to carry a couple 155 millimeter artillery rounds, truck batteries, and wire. Or definitely a lot less tired than they would be humping in a bunch of 60 to 100 pound homemade rockets, along with a couple 100 pounds of materials to make improvised launchers, batteries, and all that stuff too. Get the idea? And by doing it this way too, you can also bring stuff with you when you go up there, and you have additional items located nearby that you can plus yourself up just that little bit more for the operation. There you go. Hopefully I give you some pretty good guidance here or ideas on how to set up an operational cache to support a particular operation. Just make sure it's well hidden, it's camouflaged. Protect the materials inside from moisture, from rodents, any other issues that could be inside that area. You don't want your cache to get swept away in a flash flood. So use some common sense when you're putting them in a position. Because who knows, maybe that cache of mines you put in down here, you thought you were going to use them in a week, but you may not use them until 6 months later. Now, for all my engineer brothers and the Patriot Militia movements, always remember essayons.